Hey to the most amazing nurses. It is Dr. V here with Morning Infusion with Dr. V podcast, where we are intentional about teaching nurses how to work from anywhere around the world, making money and owning your own time, building profitable nurse coaching and consulting businesses. You will hear from amazing guests that have grown their companies and want to share insight into how you can do the same to change the face of healthcare as we know it. If you want to grow your businesses and leverage your knowledge as a nurse to grow wildly successful businesses at the top, instead of working your way to the top, head on over and join our Millionaire Nurse CEO group on Facebook, where you can ask questions and get updates on our live and virtual events to help you grow your businesses. Good morning, everyone. So this morning, I have one of my amazing friends, Miss Teshieka Curtis-Pugh. We met at the Nurse Boss Summit, about 2-3 years ago? And Teshieka was hilarious. And so I was like, I have got to get her on. And so Teshieka, tell us a little bit about you. So give us your bio.
Well, good morning, everyone. I am Teshieka Curtis-Pugh. By title, I'm the Executive Director of the South Carolina Nurses Association here in beautiful South Carolina. However, in day and deed, I am Derek's wife. My husband is a elected official here in Richland County, South Carolina. I am Mila's mom, my beautiful, beautiful 9-month-old daughter who is already awake and moving and doing what she does and talking. And I am a nurse at heart, a nurse advocate. I do the work of nursing and fight for us and do everything that I can to push our profession forward. I also own a small startup. I'm working to be like Dr. Pierce over here. Got a little work to do. But I own a small startup called Nurse TK LLC, which I help individuals, especially in the healthcare space, transition from the C-suite, from frontline healthcare to the C-suite. So really trying to look at where do we need to break down those barriers and help us get there, because we need to see as many of us as possible sitting in the rooms that we make decisions in. I always tell people, if you are not at the table, you are on the menu. So we're going to get off the menu and we're going to make our own table. So that's what I do each and every day. And most importantly, I am a nurse. Love it. As you can see, Nurse TK back there in the back.
I love it. So now this is how I start off every podcast, asking you about why did you even become a nurse from the very beginning?
Honey, okay, let's be honest. I'm not that girl. I'm not the one who said, when I grow up, I want to be a nurse. I'm not her. I thought I was going to be an attorney. I was determined that I was going to be an attorney. As a matter of fact, my first undergraduate degree is in political science. And I was working towards becoming an attorney. And I started working in a hospital and I fell in love with it. I'm the daughter of a social worker. My mom's a social worker for 45 years in the adult mental health space. And I always went to work with her, loved people, always cared about people, had a heart for them. But I thought that I was going to represent them. That's what I thought I was going to do. The truth of the matter is that wasn't my call. My call was really to take care of those people as a nurse, as a leader, and find ways to move healthcare forward. Because if you're not healthy and you can't take care of yourself, none of those other things really matter. So I really found out that that was my passion. So I started working at a hospital, loved it, and I was working in the admin side, and asked one day my manager, I said, can I work on the floor? Would you mind if I work on the floor? I just want to try it out. And she said, sure. Fell in love with it and did the whole trajectory back to school. Went back to school and got a associate's degree in nursing, then went and got my bachelor's, then got a master's. So I just love this profession. And although it wasn't what I originally thought I was supposed to do, it was what I was always called to do.
I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. And that's interesting because a lot of times that is the trajectory. Like, we don't think that we're going to go. That was my trajectory too. I wanted to be an engineer and I was like, yep. No, my mom was like, Queen, nah, we're not doing that. So I love it. I love it. I love it. Now you have an interesting story about how you got a scholarship.
So yeah, college, I'm the product of a single parent home. So my mom worked really hard. And if you know anything about social work is not the highest paying job in the world. It's really not. It is work of the heart. So my mom, as a single parent, did everything she could to make sure that I had what I needed. However, I went to an out of state school. I went to Auburn University in Auburn, Alabama, and we had out of state tuition. And I couldn't figure out what we were going to do with that. And student loans, of course, were there, but I needed to figure out some other ways. So about eighth grade, I started jumping double dutch. And if anybody knows what double dutch is, it's two ropes, just like it's two ropes. I started jumping double dutch, and I did it for my coach as a favor. My cousin was jumping, and there was another young lady who just didn't show up. She was supposed to come for a competition, and she just didn't show up. And she said, well, TK, you've been here working out with us and everything. If you'll just do this for me, I just need you for like a month. That's it. And I won't bother you anymore. So a month turned into 2 years. And for 22 years, I jumped double dutch, and I jumped double dutch all over the world. I have been to Paris. I have been, you name it, I have been there jumping double dutch, which is amazing. But beyond that, met some amazing people. I've jumped on NBA courts in the middle of half times. And like I said, seeing the world jumping double dutch. But one of the most important things about my journey in double dutch was how I paid for school. So at the time, the American Double Dutch League gave a scholarship to high school students who won the world competition. Now, years ago, I was in the Guinness Book of World Records. That's gone now because somebody beat us and they kicked us out. Go figure. But we had the highest speed in double dutch history, my team. And we made it to the Guinness Book. But beyond that, we won the world competition. And in winning the world competition, there was a scholarship that was attached to that. So because we won all 4 years that I was in high school, I was able to pay for my first 2 years of college through double dutch. So that was amazing.
It sounds like the Lord had like his hand on you, because like you didn't plan to do any of that. Okay. You didn't plan to go to nursing school. You didn't plan to do double dutch. Here you go.
Everything I don't plan to do, he said, let me get you where you need to be. But that's the beauty of life too, right? Is when you think, I always say we playing God laughs. It really is like you think but you have no idea, because sometimes we play too small. And I can get on a whole other tangent about that. So I'm gonna stay focused. But sometimes we do play too small, where we think that this is just enough for us, when there's so much more of a bigger world out there for us. So why not play big, take the risk, challenge yourself, do the things that you didn't think you could do, or challenge yourself to see if it's something that you like that you didn't even think that you like. And you might find what you were supposed to be doing all along.
And that is so true. That is so true. And we think that we can't do it, especially as nurses, right? So like we're in that sandwich of, administration and then the patient. And we think that we can't get outside of there. The reality is that if nurses don't get outside of there, then healthcare is going to stay the same. And we have to be very intentional about getting outside of that space in order for us to make sustainable change in healthcare. Because right now, it's kind of,
yeah. And we have to realize, and I'll just say to that and allow us to move on, but I'll say to that, we have to realize that we have to be in every space. It's not enough for us to just be in the healthcare spaces. It's not enough for us to be in the hospitals and clinics and even platforms just like this one. It's for us to take this and put it out in the world. It's for us to be in manufacturing and engineering and all these other spaces, because all these spaces have people in them, and all these people need healthcare. We have to think about how we can expand what we do and be creative and dynamic in such a way that the first person that someone thinks about is a nurse. Before we make a decision, let me talk to a nurse. Before we change the way we're going to deliver XYZ in our organization, let me talk to a nurse, whether it's from their mental health standpoint, whether it's their physical health, whether it's the air quality, whether it's infection control, whatever it is, let me talk to a nurse first before I make any decisions about how I change my business.
Because it definitely changes the trajectory for sure. Now we're going to start talking about a little bit about you and your journey to becoming a mom. So let's start with that should start out with the first time that you wanted to become a mom. What happened?
So my husband and I got married in 2016. My husband and I had been, so we weren't a traditional couple in that I met him, I fell in love, and we got married immediately. It wasn't that. My husband and I met each other working on a mental health hospital. And he was working as a mental health tech, and I was in nursing school at the time. And we dated for years before we got married. People were like, when are y'all gonna get married? You know, the question, goodness, y'all been together for 40 years. When y'all gonna get married? But we dated for a long time, and during that time he was getting his master's and I was getting my master's, and we were just living life and doing stuff, and we just weren't in a rush. But I won't lie and say that during that time that I was as holy as I might have been. So to say that I could have been, I could have made a baby at that time would have been possible. But all of that, and I'm just being honest. Y'all have to forgive me. I'm just a real honest individual. That's just who I am. But needless to say, we got married and we were still trying. We were trying before we got married. We were trying after, because I didn't get married early. I mean, early on. I was in my 30s when I got married. So we were still, we were trying. And we just could not get pregnant, and we're just trying to figure out what was going on. So we went and saw the doctors. Of course, we saw my GYN and all of that, and my husband did testing, and we found that I had some major issues. I had several reproductive issues, and I won't go through the list, but you name it, pretty much I had it. I from PCOS down to fibroids and everything in between. So we had gone on that journey and really tried to figure out what we were going to do. And our GYN referred us to a fertility specialist. And during that time where we were referred, she said, this is going to be an uphill battle for you because of the amount of issues that you have, the scar tissue, all the things that you have going on. It's going to be a hard battle. I had so many fibroids that they had started to twist and impact my other organs. So it has really been a struggle. And we talked to our reproductive endocrinologist. We tried IVF. Well, we tried IUI first. We tried IVF multiple times.
What is IUI?
IUI is intrauterine insemination. So that is when everything is done. IVF is in vitro fertilization. So IUI is less invasive.
Okay.
It is less costly.
Okay.
And it is basically like, hey, here's your sperm, here's your egg. Let's put them up in there. Let's do that. Let them do their thing. Whereas IVF is let's manipulate everything in the lab. And then we have this perfect embryo that's now ready to go. And then we put that back.
Gotcha.
So we did that first because it was cheaper. Then we transitioned over to the IVF space. And if anybody knows anything about IVF, it's not cheap. I don't care if you have insurance or not. It's not cheap. If you do have insurance, it does help the cost some, but a lot of companies still don't pay for that. And that's a whole nother conversation about reproductive rights later on. And if you want us to have that, eventually we can have that, because I had some major conversations on the Supreme Court steps when Roe v. Wade came down. That's a whole nother situation. But it's expensive. I will say my husband jokingly, he does not say this in front of my child. Y'all don't be mad at my husband. But my husband calls my baby. He says, come here, little 2022 fully loaded Range Rover. Come here. I don't do that to my baby. But the amount of money that you spend trying to have a child is unreal. But so we went through the journey. We went through multiple rounds. And let me take that back. The money is one thing, but that's just the beginning of it. The emotional toll, the physical toll, psychological toll that you experience. It's a lot, because every time you think you're on a high, you find yourself back at a low if it doesn't work. I even asked my husband at one point in time, do you still want to be married to me? Do you think you want to want to separate because I could not produce a child. And he looked at me like I was crazy, but I really felt like I wasn't whole. And I struggled with that. I struggled with that a lot. So I will allow us to elaborate more on the journey. But yeah, we went through that journey, and it was hard. It was emotional, but it made us so much stronger together as a couple. Like, I like him so much more now. I liked him before. I married the guy, so I must have liked him, but I really like him. He held my hand in the fire.
Mhm.
This was not a journey for the faint of heart. He held my hand through the fire. We are both in fraternities and sorority. And if anybody's in those arenas, we use the term cross the burning sands. Well, I think we dove into the burning sands and walked through them together hand in hand because it was a journey. And Mila is the result. So
I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. Now we're going to get more into it. I'm going to have a short commercial and then we'll be right back.
Our live event is going down twice a year in Rocky Mount, North Carolina, called the Millionaire Nurse CEO Conference. We will be covering the blueprint and master plan to grow a wealthy and flourishing company. We love that you listen to the podcast, but we want you in the room. We will be sharing insights on marketing and sales strategies so that you are able to create more impact and make more money, creating more freedom so that you can do the things that you love. So join us for the nursing event of the century. Go to vpnursing.com to sign up for this life-changing event.
When it comes to, first of all, Nita, thank you for watching. Anita, thank you for watching the podcast. She said that the breakdown of IUI and IVF was it was a great breakdown because I didn't understand the difference between the two either. So having the so once you found out, so you guys didn't actually conceive, you actually adopted, correct?
Correct.
And so
I had 8 miscarriages.
8 miscarriages. Okay. And so tell me about, after you had the 8th miscarriage, then what was what was the turning point?
So the turning point for me was I had multiple surgeries to remove fibroids. I'd had emergency cystectomies. I had scraping done, you name it. I had so many things done from a reproductive standpoint. Again, asking my husband, you sure you want to keep going on this journey with me? And after having all those things done, I finally, in June of last year, had a total hysterectomy. And it was not something I wanted to do. And I will preface this by saying Black women, especially, but all women in general, make sure that your practitioners are fighting for you. Mm-hmm. We are so quick to run to surgery. We're quick to run to hysterectomy. Now, if it is where you have to be, it's where you have to be. But make sure they're fighting for you. That should never be the first course of action. So I will just say that. But my doctor fought for me. We fought, we tried, we did everything we possibly could. So finally, we came to the conclusion that I needed to have the hysterectomy. I was having blood loss and having low hemoglobins and all kinds of others. I really just was struggling, constantly tired. And anybody knows in nursing, we can't be tired. We don't have time to be tired. We got too much work to do. Whether you're frontline leadership, running your own business, don't nobody have time to be tired. We got to go. So I was tired all the time, just major fatigue, just really struggling. And we made the decision to move forward with the hysterectomy last year. And I told you, every time I do my own thing, God kind of steps in and says, like I told you, I got this. So June of 2022, I had hysterectomy, June 28th, as a matter of fact. And it was very final for me. There was a lot of emotion, just understanding that this is where I am and I may not be able to have a child. December of 21, my husband and I had started the adoption journey. it was our safety net. We didn't think we were going to need it, but it was our safety net. And adoption is very expensive if you do private adoption. Seems like everything I do is expensive. I'm just gonna have to this is why I'm on here with Millionaire CEO, right? Because I got to make sure I make some money. Because at the end of the day, everything I do is costing me money. But we had gone through the emotions with adoption, but we had not been matched or anything like that. And I had the surgery in July 19th. My birthday is July 14th. And I remember on my birthday just wanting to just feel whole and feel normal. So I got some clothes on, and I was still trying to walk again because I had open hysterectomy, and still trying to just get to a point where I had some abdominal strength and walking. And 5 days after my birthday, I get a call, and they say, "Hey, Miss Pugh, we think we have a match for you and your husband." And I'm like, They say, "Yeah, there's a mom, and she is in Florida, and she's having a girl. This will be her 5th child, and she's not able to take care of her. But the baby's due August 28th." Excuse me, pardon me, because I'm at the house trying to walk. I'm at the house with a hysterectomy pillow on my stomach trying to walk. Excuse me. Y'all want me to do what, when, where? In what state? So we get this call, and they say that she wants to talk to us. 2 days later after that, she agrees to the match. And Mila was born August 19th of 2022. And the funny thing is, this child and I have been connected since before we were connected. I decided a week early to go down. She wasn't due until August 28th. And I said, I don't know, something about this. I just need to go. Hadn't driven since before my surgery in June. Mm-hmm. I drove to Florida very slowly, and I got to Jacksonville from here. And I went to sleep, and she called me at 6 o'clock in the morning and said, "I'm going into labor." And it was another 3 hours to get to where I needed to go. I said, I'm on the way. I pack up everything and call my husband and say, get on a plane now. And he's groggy. It's 6 o'clock in the morning. Get on a plane, man. So he gets on the plane and he meets me there. And about 9 hours later, sis was in the building. He was in the building. And I was able to be there, and I cut her cord.
Oh, I love that. Yeah. I love that. And so tell me about, I love it. So tell me about how that felt for you.
Ooh, why are you trying to make me cry in the morning? God does all things well. And this child is such a blessing. She is light and joy and beauty personified. She is everything. And she was everything in that moment. I was able to be in that room, and I watched her birth her. And I always say, I didn't birth her physically, but I birthed her in every other way. I birthed her in my prayers. I birthed her in my thoughts. I birthed her in my sacrifices. I birthed her through the pain that I had. I birthed her through every surgery, through every cut. I birthed her. She is mine. And in that moment, when I saw her come into the world, she was immediately mine. When I cut her cord and they put her on my chest, the tears just started to flow. And I remember saying, and there's a book, and I had been reading this book, and it's called I Love You Since Forever. And I've been reading it, and it's about adoption. And I said it to her in that moment. I said, I've loved you since forever. And I have, I have loved her since the day that I knew she existed. I loved her. And she looked up, when those little first coming to the world eyes, like, what's going on? But she looked up and she took her hand, and I have a picture. She took her tiny little hand, and she laid it right here, and she kind of did a pat, and it was like, I'm home. I'm home, mommy, I'm home. And I said to myself, she is home. She is home. And we've had her since day one. Like I said, I cut her cord, and we stayed in the hospital while they were doing her first, 48 hours to leave the hospital. We stayed at the hospital, stayed at the Airbnb close to the hospital, was there all day, every day. And then 48 hours later, we were taking her to the Airbnb because we couldn't leave the state yet. Adoption is kind of funny. You can't just up and take your child just because you have established that. You got to do a whole lot of clearances and everything else. And we were able to do that and take her home. About 7 days later, we were able to come back to South Carolina.
I love that story. Oh my God, Teshieka, I love that. So tell me, what's the journey like now? Like, what is the journey?
Girl, I'm sleepy. I am sleepy.
You hear me? Ain't it? Listen, them children.
I'm sleepy. That's the journey. I'm sleepy. No, seriously, she's so much fun. She wakes up smiling. Like, I'm like, where did this baby come from? Like, when you go in the room and you look in and she wakes up, she looks up and I'm like, hey girl, how you doing? It's good to see you. She is hilarious. So I post on my Facebook, and I'm actually getting ready to get her an IG, but I post all the time from her. I share her stories all the time because this journey has not just been mine. This journey has been every part of my village who has been there with me, who's prayed for me, interceded for me. So I try to make sure everybody knows what's going on with Madam Princess Pugh, as we call her. And she is hilarious. And I think it's like she knows it. She is so funny, and she's laughing and joking and smiling all the time. And I'm like, do you know how to troll people? Because like, I'm trying to do something with you. And she's like, I don't want you. I don't want you. I can't be bothered. The child won't walk. She's 9 months old. She doesn't want to walk. She doesn't want to crawl because we are her people. And why do that when people come do my bidding and we do it? So, if she breathes hard, there's somebody, what you need, what you want, what you need, what you want. So we are all in. We love it. The journey has been such a beautiful one. It's not been, always easy trying to navigate life with a newborn and trying to figure out how to sleep and what's okay to do and what's not okay to do, and am I using the right bottles, and is this the right this, that, and the other. Trying to do all that has been its own challenge, but I'll say it's been such a beauty in learning in the lessons that we've had along the way. And like, now she's sleeping in her crib by herself, doing her own little thing, and I'm like, oh, girl, I'm liking this. You're sleeping all night long. I don't have to wake up at 2:00 to feed you. None of that, but it really is beautiful. And my husband is just so enamored with her. He just loves her. And she's starting to say, Mama and Dada. So it's so much fun. And she recognizes her people. So it's good. It's a blessing. It really is.
Love it. I love it. It is such an amazing story. And I really want to talk about your startup, but I think that there's no better way to end it than that.
That's for another time.
Tell us where they can find you.
Everywhere, anywhere. Call me, beat me if you want to reach me. I'm like Kim Possible. But I am on Facebook. You can find me on Facebook. My name, Teshieka Curtis-Pugh, and Nurse TK. So there's 2 pages. There's my business page. Same thing on IG. On IG, I am Nurse TK Official. You can find me there. On TikTok, you can find me. I'm Nurse TK. I'm Nurse TK everywhere you want to find me. I am always looking to expand and grow and help people, especially in the healthcare space, but in general, just people. Whatever I can do for people, I'm here for it. Let's grow, win, and excel together, and just keep doing work that is passion pursuits, things that you love, things that you enjoy, and things that will eventually you'll be able to monetize. So I'm here for all Have a wonderful day. And Dr. Pierce, thank you so much for having me. I'm so grateful.
Thank you, thank you, thank you for coming. We do have a masterclass. We had an amazing masterclass last night. It was absolutely phenomenal. We're going to have them every month. Pretty much every month. I'll be out of the country a couple of months, but other than that, we're going to have master classes every month. The next one is July 11, 2023. So I look forward to everyone being there, and you guys have a phenomenal rest of your day.